Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I've got quite an interesting video for you because we're going to take a look at a chess puzzle which was featured on the new Netflix series, The Queen's Gambit. It's a very impressive series if you've not watched it already, but if you are a chess player or a chess fan, it's definitely worth checking out. But this puzzle comes about because the main character in Beth Harmon was actually given it, and she was told to solve the puzzle and give mate in free. And she actually solves this in a couple of seconds, really quickly. She's an extraordinary player in the series. So I don't want to do any spoilers. If you want to try and solve this puzzle yourself, just pause the video. And again, it's white to move and it's checkmate in 3 moves. So see if you can solve that. But if not, we'll continue the video and see if we can try and work it out. So Beth solved this in a few seconds, and that is absolutely beyond most players' capabilities, but we can solve it systematically. So if we're ever given a puzzle like this, the first thing to note is whose move it is. So it's obviously white to move. But if it was black to move, I like to look at where they could move to. And in this situation, if it was black to move, basically they've only got one move, which is king to g7 or bishop to g7. Any other move is illegal. And so to checkmate the black king, you have to think we have to control this square and we have to control this square to give checkmate. So black's in a terrible position anyway. They're 2 knights down and the king can't really breathe. And this is where the clever move comes in by Beth. In the series now she quips that it's king to d7. And the reason behind this move is now because it drags the knight into the game. White can now play knight to d6, followed by knight to e8 to deliver checkmate and control these 2 key squares that we really want to play. So after white's played king to d7, it's black to move. So let's go through bishop to g7, one of 2 moves that black can actually play. If bishop to g7, then knight to d6. Well, we're free to play knight to e8, and actually this is unstoppable. Because if the bishop now moves to bishop to h6, we play knight to t8, checkmate. The king is in check, and it can't move to this square because the knight is also covering it, and this is checkmate. Also, any other bishop move also loses. Let's say bishop h8, then there's knight to e8, as I say. And if bishop to f8, again it's knight to e8, checkmate. The king can't move, and all the other squares are covered by the other pieces. The bishop is protected by the knight, and this bishop controls these 2 squares. The king controls this square, and the pawn controls this square. And this knight is checking the king and also covers the important g7 square. So once white plays king d7, the only other alternative move that black can play here, the only other legal move, is king to g7. And again, we can just play knight to d6. Because if the king goes back now, we can play knight to e8 and deliver checkmate. So if king f6, knight to e8 is checkmate. Again, similar position to the last variations. However, after king g7, black has 2 alternative moves. They can also play a move like king to h6. And this is very clever as well because this knight on d6 just dominates everything. If king h6, white can play knight to f5. Again, this is checkmate, the king's in check. This knight controls the g7 square, and the king can't come to h5 because the bishop controls the square, and also the bishop controls g6, and the king can't go up to a square because this knight controls h7. So if we just go back 1 move, the only other alternative is to play king to f8 for black. But now, again, the other knight actually works really well here. And we cover the g7 square in a different direction. White can play knight to e6, and that's also checkmate. The g7 square is covered this time by this knight, and this knight on d6 protects the bishop, and this king is now suddenly trapped, and it's checkmate. So yeah, this was just a fun little video from the puzzle from the Queen's Gambit on Netflix. As I say, I recommend watching it. It's a great little series, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was a good watch. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.